Here we are again, press fans, coming from Altman Studios in downtown Brentwood to your ears wherever you are. This is Clocked with the Press with your host, Jake Menez. That's me. On mic with me today are two guests. The first is my editor, Kyle Szymanski. Kyle's been the sports correspondent at the paper for nearly a decade, so it only seemed right to bring him for today's conversation with our other guest, Heritage's football coach, Kevin Hartwig. Coach Hartwig recently attended Super Bowl 56 as a guest of Bengals running back and Oakley native, Joe Mixon, who he coached in high school. Kyle, Kevin, how are you guys?
Pretty good, thank you.
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Glad to have you. So I guess we'll start with some background on you. So you are the Heritage football coach now, but prior to that, you were the coach at Freedom.
Correct. Yeah, I was the head coach at Freedom for 16 years. I've been in East County since '94 coaching. I was at Liberty for 6 years and then LMC for 2. And now currently I'm an assistant coach at Heritage.
Yeah, I think your latest claim to fame, I guess you should say, is that you attended Super Bowl 56 with Joe Mixon playing on the Bengals. What was it like going to the Super Bowl?
Shoot, I just got goosebumps right now just thinking about it. It was unbelievable to be able to share that experience, with Joe. Joe did all the work. I just kind of rode his coattails to the Super Bowl. But, it's beyond belief. You think about the Super Bowl, and that's what it was. It was just the awe of it all. My kids were bugging me about, who did you see? Who'd you see? I was like, I don't know. I was at the Super Bowl. I was just focused on the experience, the new stadium. There was a small group of us, his family were there, and then 2 of our former players who graduated with Joe attended the Super Bowl too. So we hung out with them in the pregame and just took in all the sights and sounds of SoFi Stadium. The place is amazing.
So let's rewind a little bit because I want to hear more about the Super Bowl. But first, how did you, what is your story with Joe? How did you guys meet, or when did you meet more appropriately?
Well, I don't know what year, but it was his freshman year, and our freshman football coach, Scott Sabrani, goes, "Hey, I got somebody you want to meet." Had no clue who this young man was, and then he brought Joe in the PE office. I was like, "Oh my goodness, who's that?" Because he was well developed and he looked like. Not like he does now, but for a freshman, I was like, oh my goodness, who's this guy? And the second he walked in, his smile, and to the second I saw him, just a couple days ago, he just lights up a room. And I think that's the biggest thing about Joe. Yeah, he's a great football player, but as a human, he's just a great individual.
Doing from the beginning there, when you first saw him as a freshman, there was already some semblance of star power, for lack of a better word.
Just his personality. I think that's what has won him over. With me, he walks in a room, you just can't help smile. He asks about my kids. He asks about, how everybody's doing. And that's Joe. Joe's he's more personal with you than football. And, with us there, who are around him all the time. And, I don't know. I just can't say enough about that great young man.
We'll keep saying more then.
I know. I could sit here all day and talk about Joe, but,
sure.
A prime example, I got a new phone a couple of years ago, and he texted me, "Hey, can I get the picture of Jamie, my youngest daughter? Hey, I got a new phone. I need that picture." And that's, to me, that just speaks volume. And he's like that with everybody. He's so personal, and he's working out at Freedom here or there. And when he does come into town, he just jumps in our PE classes, and just mingles right in. And he's very humble from where he came to where he is.
Yeah, and what was it like coaching Joe Mixon as a high schooler?
It was easy. He was the team leader. He was emotional. He was hardworking. He was, all about team, which he still is. You can see it, if you ever watch the videos of him in the locker room, he's always up in the front. And, he's carried that through his whole career. And I think that's been his main thing, is just his charisma, his team, attitude, and just his ability just to work hard and be a positive influence wherever he's at.
And what was it like? What makes Joe Mixon different from a coaching standpoint? What makes coaching Joe different than everybody else?
You know what? I don't know if there's a difference. I don't think we ever treated him different. One thing that we really hung our hat on was consistency. So, Joe had a lot of tutoring and stuff going on, or if he had tests. If he was late, it didn't matter what it was. We had a policy: you're late, and whether it was the guy who didn't play much or Joe Mixon, we treat everybody the same. But, special, I don't think there's anything special about him except just, his ability to succeed and be a positive role model, for everything that he's been involved in.
Mm-hmm. And so flashing forward to just before the Super Bowl, so when did you get the call that he was taking you along as a guest?
It was funny because I texted him Monday after the AFC Championship game, and WWE was in Cincinnati. I figured I text him, hey man, you at the wrestling event? Because that's Joe. He'd be there, he's front row and all that. And he goes, nah, I'm not there. But he goes, can I call you? I said, yeah. And so we just kind of chit chat, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing for the Super Bowl?" I was like, "I'm gonna watch you win the Super Bowl at my house. I got a new TV a couple months ago." And he goes, "No, you're not." I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "No, you're going." I'm like, "Nah, man." He goes, "No, you're going." And I'm still on pins and needles, and I was just like, "No, Joe." He's like, "No, you're going." And so that's kind of when I found out, and I was like a giddy little boy, all the way up into the Super Bowl about experience and all, and. Unfortunately, it didn't end the way we wanted it to, but, it was great to see him be 1 of 5 to throw a touchdown pass besides a quarterback in the Super Bowl. So,
and even just being there, win or lose, just going to Super Bowl alone is such an accomplishment.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the worst part, honestly, the Super Bowl was getting home. I mean, it took us 2 hours to get out of that place on it because of Uber, because it's all rideshare. And we were 3.2 miles away in our hotel, but it was a by freeway, so it took us. Other than that, it was a great experience. I mean, from the stadium to the people to, just the vibe.
And so what is the energy like in that stadium? Because, even on TV, there's that disconnect of it being, on the screen, obviously, that you can feel the energy, but certainly not with that same.
I mean, as soon as we got out of the Uber, or not even that, because it's right off of Crenshaw Boulevard. So, it's kind of a main boulevard, and you take the side street. It's kind of random. You go down the side street, and you just start seeing people, and it was just like, oh, my God, we're here. And we got there. The gates opened, I think, 11:30-ish. We got there like 11:15, and it was just like chaos. So we just hung out on the curb and let everybody go in. We met a couple people. We socialized. And then, like you said, you walked in. It was just the buzz. You just heard people the whole time. And, and then once we got to our seats, it was just anticipation. I mean, if you haven't been, it's a great experience if you're a football fan. Even if you're not, it just, like you said, the buzz was it was constant cheering for both teams. And, and that stadium is unbelievable. The halo thing in the middle of the Jumbotron was great. The halftime show live was awesome. It was just interesting to watch the setup and the takedown, how fast that went, that you don't get to see on TV.
And so as far as Super Bowls go, is that the only one you've been to live in person? Yeah.
Probably first and only.
Oh my gosh, 0 to 100, just going straight from, TV to being there as a guest.
And I was kind of, at first it was just like, all right, how's it going to be? Because I've been to Niner games and stuff like that. It's kind of but I mean, it lived up to the hype. It was totally worth just being involved in the game. And unfortunately scored the winning touchdown right in front of us because we were in the end zone. Right behind the goalpost. I'm like, son of a gun.
Yeah, and jumping back to Joe Mixon as a high school player, at what point did you know that he was going to be special?
Oh, shoot. I mean, his freshman year, he played freshman. That's kind of what we did there. And then his sophomore year, he came up, and we, sophomore and junior year, we had a pretty talented group of guys with Darrell Daniels and Dante Mays. And, Darrell still plays for the Cardinals in Arizona. He's a tight end for him. But, it just... You just knew, we've been doing it. I've been doing it kind of long enough to kind of know that he's like, okay, he's got that and the biggest thing is skill wise. And we know he's skilled, but just the determination. I think just the work ethic, put him over the top, like the other kids that we had that, went out and were successful in college and pro.
And so just for clarity, Joe Mixon was at Freedom and not Heritage.
Yeah, at Freedom High School. Yeah, perfect, he was a 2014 grad.
Okay, yeah, so I graduated 2010, so I'd have been just leaving as he was starting.
Yeah.
Did you go to Freedom?
No, I went to Deer Valley, Jake.
So you're
talking
totally
about that. I
equation.
just saw Zimbo Webster.
Oh, absolutely.
So him and Joe are godbrothers, and they came and worked out a couple weeks ago at the school, and he was with them, so I got to see him. And he was at the Super Bowl, too, so I got to catch up with him, too. Deer Valley grad.
It's insane just what a small world it is.
Yeah.
Just kind of, because I think there's been several other recent, NFL players that are local as well.
Right. We have there's Xavier Crawford from Pitt, who transferred to Clayton. He just actually signed with the Jaguars. And then we have Zimba, who's with Chicago, Joe, the Bengals, Darrell from Freedom. He's with the Arizona Cardinals. And then Najee is, with my team, the Steelers. And then there's someone else. There's 2 other local guys, like 680, 580 area that are still playing. But, we had a good little run the last few years.
So how many, current NFL players do you think filtered through your program specifically?
We have 2. And then we've had, since I've been there, we've had 4. We had Darrell Daniels, who's their current. And then he's been in the league, I think this is his 4th or 5th year. Joe, 4. And then we had Darrell Green. He was an offensive lineman right around your time.
Okay, yeah, perfect.
He graduated in 11, and he was on the Eagles for 3 years, got a Super Bowl ring, practice squad. And then we had DeAndre Burrell. He was back in the day. He was one of our first guys. He's with Green Bay for 3 years, practice squad and active wideout here or there.
And it's pretty good. I mean, that's a pretty good run for, one school district. You're a little past that.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh and all that, but still just.
That was amazing. I mean, we were just so fortunate when I first got there. We're a smaller school and we were just kind of okay. And then when DeAndre came, and we kind of got rolling a little bit about 2006, 7. And then we just kind of didn't look back. We got, the luck of the draw, a bunch of great kids and with a great work ethic. And, we put out tons of college kids, and like I said, we're just fortunate. Like backtrack, I was fortunate, to be, for it to work out the way it did, and to interact with all those kids. And the best part is we still interact. That's what I love, about it all. We had alumni pizza thing 3 years ago. We had almost 100 kids show up. We were going to do it, then the pandemic hit, but we're planning to do one next spring.
Yeah, going into your own coaching history, what pulled you back going into back to Heritage again? Because
my son. It came down to my son. Like I said, I coached or was involved in high school football since 1983. When I was a freshman, I didn't miss a Friday or Saturday for however many years that is, and then it was just time, it was affecting my family, and, everybody talked about that. They always looking back like older guys, like, hey, we don't want that, or let me backtrack. I regret not, hanging out with my family more, and was at a point where I actually missed 16. I actually missed my kids' stuff, or before I can kind of manage it. And, it was just time, I just needed a break, and I was just going to be a dad and watch in the stands. So I watched this whole JV year. And then in 19, I was approached by Don Sanders to help out. The head coach currently, or the head coach at the time at Heritage. And, my son wanted me to help, it was all his decision. And I ended up helping out at 19, and then in 20, and then 21, and then now 22. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But it's been fun. It's been fun getting back into it and not being the head coach.
Mm-hmm. And what do you like best about coaching?
Just interaction and giving back what it gave me. I had great coaches throughout my whole tenure in high school and then junior college in St. Mary's, and that's kind of why I got into it. And I guess my motto you would say is, just pay it forward, pay back all the great lessons I learned through my coaches, my role models in football, and pass it forward. And, we keep in touch, all of us over the years, with 85% of our players from since. I still talk, every couple months from my guys from my first group in 2002. I talk to, I work with Andrew Cotter, who I coached in 1995, and Nate Smith, the AD at Heritage. I coached him in 94, 95, coached with him at Freedom, and then now, I guess work underneath him as a coach in his program. So I think that's the crazy part about small town. And you guys know Brentwood, like you just said earlier, everybody.
Yeah.
Our circles get smaller and smaller, but it's been great, for to see everything being paid forward, seeing those guys out in our community doing stuff that kind of we always talked about. Now you get to see it more, and especially when they're adults.
Yeah, it's a very measurable impact in that regard.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think that, football gets such a bad rap these days with all the, concussions and all the other stuff that goes along, where the reality of it's as safe as it's ever been. But there's so many life lessons and so many opportunities to give back, and to help that kid or get that kid involved or, help steer them in the right direction or be a role model or a father figure or a mother figure, for our community.
And out of curiosity, and you talked about concussions and football being as safe as it's been, are there ways that the sport has had to change on the high school level to combat that kind of bad image?
Yeah, no. We just go out there and we just tell them, the equipment, I guess you got to update on your equipment. Everything now is, it's all star rated. So, of course you buy all the safest stuff out there and, just make as many positive, hold youth football camps, do what Like that's why I kind of got involved in next level flag football, just to kind of pass the positive message of how fun football is and what it teaches you, and you kind of get more people involved and see the other side of, or the real side of football, not just what they see in the news.
Of course, yeah. And you mentioned next level flag football. You just wrapped with them recently, right?
Yeah, we just finished up 2 weeks ago. It's a 9-week program, and it's all kid based. So the coaches are high school kids from Heritage and Freedom, or locally, and then the referees are, and then there's one only adult volunteer, and it's a 9-week season, and it's all about kids coaching kids and giving back, and positive football vibes on each end. It is competitive, but it is a model where it's more kid based. For the kids to learn to love the game, develop skills. High school kids learn how to coach and how to teach, and and kids how to officiate. And I just oversee that program, and I think we had a great and successful first year.
Yeah, and we would be remiss if we did not talk about your success as a head football coach. I mean, what do you attribute that to?
You know what? I don't know. It's hard to say over the years, but I had a lot of great mentors. I started my coaching at St. Mary's. I was a GA for a year, so that's how I ended up out here, actually, because Nick Frost was the DB coach at St. Mary's, and he became we're in our credential program together. And then in '94, he was hired as the head coach at Liberty, and that's how I ended up out this way. But just the mentors and the people I've coached, where I saw a lot of great things, and I saw some things not me. And probably the biggest advice I ever got was from John Beam. He's like, just be you. Be you. What's your message, and consistency. And I did my best. And I think, and hang my hat that I was consistent from day one at Freedom as the head coach, of course, to the end, where Joe Mixon or Mike Smith, you're late. And I think that was a huge message. And I think that was part of our success, was we were consistent. The kids knew where we were going to go. And most importantly, I had great assistant coaches. I was fortunate on that end. Ryan Sato was with me the whole time at Freedom, and he's at Heritage now. But we were college teammates, and, he's all 16 years. And then Ron Rivers, coached 15 years with me. Sam Arnold, our DC, was 12. Our JV staff, 16, 14, and 10 years with us. Our freshman group was Scott Zabrani, Tom Perry, Fidel Garcia, all ex-head coaches. So, you talk about my success, I think I look at it as our success, because we had so many positive role models every day. They made it work every day for our kids to see the same face, the same message. And it was, I was spoiled. I think that's the biggest thing. Yeah, we had Joe Mixons and Durrells and all the other things, but in my mind, our success was our support staff. Our assistant coaches were amazing dudes, and they drop anything for our kids, and they were there for everything. And, they had real jobs, outside in our communities, and would commute and come from San Francisco, San Jose, driving truck to, pest control, to campus supervisor in a different district. These guys helped us make Freedom football the way, what we did. And it wasn't just me. I think it was a huge team effort.
Mm-hmm. And in high school or pros, you see some coaches succeed, some coaches don't. What makes a good program or a successful program?
I think just consistency, consistency and the right message of, yeah, we win football games. My thing was, we're going to be great role model. Like I said earlier, great role models and citizens. And, and our campus knew that. Our teachers knew that, hey, look, if Kyle's in trouble in math, shoot me an email and Kyle won't be a problem anymore. And, I think, like I said, going back to, we had everybody involved. The city of Oakley, we had Freedom, we had, administration of Freedom, we had the district, and, coaches, kids, parents. I think our model is kind of get everyone involved, not too much to where they have too much, but at least involved and support. And, here's our message. Everybody knows our message. Everybody knows our thing. Here's our simple, our contract, I guess you want to call it. It was very simple, and we kept things simple, and everybody knew what was going on. And, and I think that was huge too, because, if you knew you cut line in lunch line, you knew what was going to happen, or you want to mess around in math class, what's going to happen. I think that for us helped us be successful. And, I don't know about other programs, but, and we had some pretty good athletes too. don't disrespect that part of it. But I mean, we had some phenomenal athletes, in my last 10 years there.
And just from the outside looking in, I wasn't on the football team, obviously, because you and I just met. This is not a football player's body.
Yeah.
But I knew several people in high school at Freedom, who were on the team, and they definitely spoke about that, that accountability as a core part of the program. You'd have them in French class or something.
Yeah.
They'd be tanking a test. They'd be studying harder, though, so they could just keep playing on the team.
Yeah, and it wasn't like grades. It was just more presence,
right.
Presence. That was kind of our thing in the classroom, right? Some people, you guys sit in the front. You got to, be a good role model. Let them know that you're there to, if you need help, ask for help. I mean, I don't know. Some programs I think go over the top a little bit. With you got to sit in the front. You got to wear this. You got to wear that. Game day, you got to wear this. And over the years, like we're like, all right, well, game day, you got to wear a shirt and tie. Well, not everybody has a shirt, not everybody has a tie. Now, Mike doesn't do it. Joe doesn't do it. What are you going to do? I'm like, so then we're like, all right, what are we going to do every year? What are we going to do on game day? And I left it to them because, again, they made it. Now we can hold them accountable where, all right, this year we're wearing jerseys. Okay, we're wearing jerseys. Okay, how about we get a polo? All right, I'll buy everybody a polo. Okay, cool, let's buy a polo. So, I think going back to that is, I also gave them a voice. I wasn't, this is the high, this is it. Don't cross that line or, my way or the highway. I learned that wasn't me, where maybe the kids thought that was me. But, they always had a saying. We always had an advisory committee, or I just asked the group, all right, guys, what are we doing this year? Seniors, let me know. What's our helmet decal this year? Or, like one year, hey, coach, we want to change our helmet color. All right, well, talk to us as a group and vote. You guys decide, let me know. So one year we went silver. We went back to silver. So, I mean, that's kind of how it went, I guess.
And so a lot of that, the accountability, letting them have their own, being advocates for themselves on it, that's stuff that also translates obviously into life skills off the field as well. Mm-hmm. Was that kind of an intentional choice?
Yeah. Without giving away all my secrets, the big picture, it's more about once you leave than what you're doing here, what you take with you, kind of going back to my original message we talked about before. I want them to be good role models and, I try and prepare them for the real world, because adversity can bite you in the butt if you never see it before.
Yeah, and you talk about football and how it develops young men. If for young parents out there that want to get their kids in the game, but are a little leery with everything that's going on in the media and everything, just as a football coach, what advice would you give parents that are looking to put themselves in the game or their kids in the game?
Just experience it. You know what I mean? You're always going to have a good or bad experience, with it. I'm not doing any promos for anything, but you know what? Go out and play flag football. That's what I did with my son. He didn't really know early on he was a soccer guy. And so we went out and played flag football. And, I'm not trying to promo or anything, but
feel free.
No, but, just go out there and try it. You know what I mean? And that's kind of why I brought, that model, that Patrick Walsh from Sarah. It's his product, his company out here, because it kind of gives those people a chance to kind of experience football, whether it's the other league, the CFA or next level, whatever. Just go and try it, and experience for yourself, or go watch, because I think there's been such a negativity too of the way football's coached sometimes that kind of leads people astray from football because they don't want to put their kid in that situation or environment.
And so before being a coach, you were a player as well, obviously.
Yes.
And so what was your experience like on that end of it, and how did that influence or how did that inform your experience as a coach? Yeah,
I never played football until high school. I played soccer and basketball and, I didn't play baseball. I was too boring. It was eye-opening at first. I totally remember the first day I was handed a suspension helmet. So the old spider web, and I only had that for a week or so, and then I got the old Rydell Rose. Not very safe, but it was good. Like I said, it learned for me. It was just adversity. Right off the bat. I mean, never played, and the second or third day, I'll never forget. My friend Vic was like the man. Like you saw a picture of thug and football player. It was Vic, long blonde hair, muscles. Always had his T-shirt off, and I remember a drill of me against him. Like, oh my God, and he cracked me. But I was like, okay, now I know, and not saying I was great or anything, but that kind of drove me to, I like this, and all my friends played, and usually your freshman year you play because all your friends play, right? And then I was like, okay, well then I got into weights, and I kind of got a lot stronger, and I didn't get a chance to go out of high school, so I went to junior college and played at Gavilan under Bobby Garcia. and got a scholarship from there to St. Mary's College in Moraga, which doesn't have football, unfortunately. I played 2 years there, and then it was great for me growing up was to experience different methods. I had 3 different stops of football, and it was kind of cool. So with the coaching mind kind of going, but not really knowing that I want to coach yet because I want to make money like everybody else. That I got to see. Oh nope. Oh yes. And that's kind of what got me into coaching was one of my high school coaches and then my junior college coach.
And they were both coaches that you wanted to emulate, or you?
Yeah,
or
they
the
just kind of
opposite?
yeah, because they were positive role models for me and good people, and and helped me get where I needed to be, and and communicated with me. They always checked in, and that's kind of how I got my thing. I always check in, and do all that stuff. It's easier now with social media. I mean,
Of course.
you boop, 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 and you talk to a kid in 2 seconds, where before, you have to get a phone and, numbers change. So,
What's the most challenging part of being a coach?
oh, challenging. A lot of people say parents, which is good or bad. Fortunately, I only had a couple little hiccups here or there, but probably the challenging time now is pandemic. I mean, that was huge challenge for us as a coach trying to keep football alive or any sport alive, right? But Dave Fogelstrom at Heritage. He did a real good job of we practiced all through the pandemic. We social distance. We lifted on the stadium grass. We followed all the guidelines and just to keep the kids busy and active. But shoot, I mean, just the hardest part now is, I mean, I don't know. That's a tough question. I mean, because there's so many ways you can look at it, but hardest part about coaching now. Oh, I don't know. I mean, that's a tough one. That is real tough. I mean,
As we bring Kyle forward.
I know. Oh, God, you're stumping me here. God, I don't know. I think from a football coach, because I've coached them, but for football is just getting more kids involved in football. And I think as a PE teacher too, is getting kids more active. Even before the pandemic, I mean, when I was at Freedom, we were always 80, 90 freshmen kind of coming out to try out, right? Fortunately, they only gave us 1 bus, so we had a cut, and I hated it. But, my last 2 years before, we had like 40-something kids come out. So it kind of that's probably the hardest thing is to get kids active again and get kids involved because it was pre-pandemic. Everyone wants to blame that, but that didn't help. Because we're kind of at that turn where, kids playing video games, kids weren't out playing tag or whatever, you don't play till the street lights are out. I think there's a lot of things that kind of contribute to it, but the hardest part is trying to get just kids involved again, and no, I'm good. That's too much work. And, when we talk to kids and, even though I don't coach at Freedom, I see kids at my peak, hey man, you got to go play football. You got to go, baseball. Hey man, I don't know if I want to work that hard. So I think that's right now in the last 5 or 6 years was the hardest part was just trying to get kids motivated to be active again and be, and go out for sport.
And so here's another hard question then. So how do you encourage them to be more active?
You just be positive about it. Try and bring in, what you can to from a sport coach is, just invite them, hey, come to a practice or, hey, come to this or, or have your kids sell your program. And I think that's one thing that I learned too is like we talked about having the kids buy in and then also have them sell. It's their team. Yeah, it's my team and everybody hates the coach, right? But again, if, your star player or your bench player out there promoting your program, I think that could be a good solution. That's what we used in the past was, we talked about that earlier, but just, have the kids promote. But that's hard too. And that's hard for a 15 to 18-year-old kid is that, but it's again, another life skill that they, we hope that they can learn.
You had a lot of memorable moments as a coach. What one stands out the most?
Sorry, Vic. Beating Pittsburgh twice in 2016. I mean, we battled since day one. Me and Vic, we've been friends for a long time. Vic Galley at Pittsburgh, and I think that beating him twice in 2016 was, that's huge. Beat Pitt at Pitt in the first place is huge, and then to come back and play him 2 weeks later. And or 3 weeks later and beat him again. I think that was huge. But there's been so many just little things, kid accomplishments, family accomplishments. But that one sticks out. Beating Pitt in 2016 twice. But on the field, that's probably one of, I mean, there's so many. I mean, I can go on, but that one was I think was to me probably one of my proudest moments, just to be able to accomplish that because they run such a great program and we've battled over the years. I mean, I think 8 out of the, I don't know, 16 times we played them came down to a kick. We missed, they missed, we blocked, they blocked. And that kind of came down in that game too. We blocked an extra point or a field goal to win the game the first time around. And I'm sorry, that was 2012 we beat them. That's right, with Darrell and Joe. But I don't know. I think that's the first one that comes to mind. That's big.
Mm-hmm. And how's being an assistant coach different than being a head coach? I mean, do you enjoy the experience more or equally, or?
It's great. I mean, because I show up before, and I leave right after, and I know what it takes. I mean, I was, fortunate enough to work with Dave. He was at Freedom with us, and now he's the head coach. But it's, it's been great. I mean, to go in there, do my thing, and not be worn out from, all the extra work that goes on behind the scenes. But, still coach hard, still love coaching. And, I love my role being more about coaching because I'll never forget this. John Beam told me, the day you become the head coach is the day you become the worst position coach ever. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Oh my goodness. Right. I mean, it's just the time and the place and, I always coached a position. So I knew, but now, I just go coach my thing and make sure I do, do what I got to do. I'm not worried about running off here or running off there or uniforms or so-and-so can't find their helmet or, but I do help out Dave a lot. When he asks, I'm always there to help him out and, do this head coach stuff.
Perfect. I think that's great. Thank you. So kind of as we're nearing the end here, so much of what you've been talking about has been, paying it forward and just sort of giving back. In that same vein, what else, what are thoughts you'd like to share on that topic?
I don't know. I mean, I grew up in a small town. I grew up in Gilroy, which is very similar to Brentwood. And it's almost like the same two blueprints of how towns have gone. There's 60,000 now Brentwood and Gilroy is, and Brentwood's the same. And, my mom was jealous because we get Target and they didn't have Target. Then they got Target. But growing up in a small community, I just think, and I saw that my mentors were a big part of the community and involved in stuff. And I just think to me, that's how I feel about Brentwood. I still think Brentwood is the same town when I came in 94 of 20,000 people, but I still think Brentwood still has that feel. And that's huge to me because I want to be able to be involved in my community and our players to be involved in our community. And, even if I'm an assistant, the heritage kids, just Brentwood Oakley to me is just unique because it always was, even when I was at Liberty, it was just, the one school, it was always about community, and I think that's huge. And it meant a lot to me here, as in my home. And I just think that's, I know that just I love this place. I don't know if I can ever leave.
No, I think it's great. That's what you want to hear.
I mean, and you're a local guy too, and you know what I mean. I mean, I just want to make this the best place that I can. Not that I'm anything special, but while I'm here, I want to be able to help our community and our community members by trying to be just a good role model. And
I think that's I think it's something everybody should be practicing.
And I think though, if you think about Jack Farrell, Stonebarger, all these names, it's just like, man, they're to me. Coming into the community and being involved, it's like, man, that was your coach. And everybody's like, Coach Farrell he packed the gym and could have had more people. And, and I think that's what a lot of people maybe don't realize how much being a coach or even just a person in our community can affect such a huge part of, what our town's about or carry on the traditions of, Brentwood when Brentwood was Brentwood. They say corn town, but there's no corn anymore, right? Or everybody forgot about apples. This place was slammed with apples. Now it's all corn. But, just those things that we can keep, our traditions and our community alive.
No, absolutely. I think when you have a smaller city like this, it definitely, the ripple you create seems to go further. Kyle, did you have any food for thought you wanted to share?
No, I just thank you very much for visiting us. And one day you're going to be in the Liberty Union High School Hall of Fame.
I don't know about that. I don't know. I'm on the committee, but other than that, I don't know. Like I said, I just fortunate. I think I just fell into to the freedom thing. It was kind of crazy. Was when I was at LMC, Larry Rodriguez had called me. Let me backtrack. I thought it was a prison forever. I just had to throw that in, right? Remember when you drove down Lone Tree, all you see was trees in a prison. We're like, oh my God. But anyway, it was kind of ironic how it happened. I was at LMC coaching, and Larry Rodriguez was the head coach, and he gave me a quick ring. Hey, look, I'm going to, think about stepping down. And, hey, why don't you apply? I'd like for you to apply. And it's like, oh, okay, whatever. And I was like, all right, cool, yeah, we'll give it a try. I applied and got the job. We ended up switching roles. So I took over as head coach at Freedom, and he took over and coached the D-line for me at Los Madonnas. Just a fun little fact. I don't know. But no, like I said, I've been fortunate enough to be out in this community. And, I want to thank Nick Frost, who brought me out here. He's down in San Luis now with his wife. She has a principalship down there. But ever since that first day I came out, I fell in love. And I'm just glad I can still be active in this community.
I can't think of a better way to end it than right there, to be honest. Thanks so much. That's the episode, folks. Kyle, Kevin, thanks so much for joining me today. I thought this was terrific. Love to have you guys both on again soon. Everyone out there listening, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to download our free app or check out our website at www.thepress.net for your news needs. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at PressClockedIn. And for more about high school sports, be sure to listen to our sports recap episodes on Thursdays and follow our sports Twitter account at @thepress_sports. Until next time, this is Jake Menez, clocking out.